Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in. Today, we're unpacking a massive tectonic shift happening in the global tech supply chain. For literally decades, we've all known India as the world's IT services back office, right? Well, that reality is changing as we speak. We are watching a multi-billion-dollar pivot where India is transforming from a traditional outsourcing destination into an absolute powerhouse for global AI infrastructure. We're talking about a mind-blowing influx of capital, somewhere in the ballpark of $130 billion, that is completely rewiring the physical and digital map of the country. So if you're trying to figure out where the future of global AI compute, data storage, and server manufacturing is actually heading, you absolutely have to understand this pivot.
And this brings us to the elephant in the room. It's the massive question keeping tech executives and investors up at night. Is the era of traditional Indian IT just over? Has that legacy, large team outsourcing model finally hit a permanent wall? To see where the money is flowing to, we have to look at what clients are pulling their cash away from. Right now, global businesses are aggressively restricting their traditional, discretionary spending. And this isn't just a temporary dip in the market. It's a structural, fundamental change in how global businesses allocate their technology budgets.
The financial numbers here paint a stark picture. Your traditional IT heavyweights, companies like Infosys, Wipro, and HCL Tech, they're putting out incredibly cautious growth guidance for fiscal year 2027. We're talking a sluggish 1 to 4% growth. For an industry that's totally used to booming double-digit expansion, that is essentially stagnation. But then, look at the flip side. AI demand is absolutely off the charts. Tata Consultancy Services, or TCS, is already hitting a massive $2.3 billion annualized revenue run rate entirely from AI. The financial risks for legacy IT firms are flashing red. You either rapidly transition your business model to AI-driven solutions, or you risk severe long-term stagnation.
But here's the thing. To capture that surging AI demand, you need unprecedented physical infrastructure. Hardware. And that is exactly why the Adani Group has pledged a massive $100 billion. Let that number sink in. They aren't just slapping together a few data centers. They are committing to building an entire, integrated AI infrastructure platform. This means tying together massive energy generation, transmission networks, and localized data networks. Their ultimate goal is to make AI computing incredibly affordable by controlling the entire supply chain. Literally from the power grid straight down to the server rack. And it's definitely not just domestic conglomerates making these huge bets. Let's look at the foreign direct investment pouring in. Google has officially earmarked a staggering 1.35 lakh crore rupees. For those doing the math, that translates to roughly 15 billion US dollars, dedicated entirely to a brand new digital epicenter right in India. This level of institutional investment completely redefines India's role. They are no longer just writing the code, they are physically hosting and powering the foundational models of tomorrow.
Section 1. Welcome to AI Patnam, the Visakhapatnam megacluster.
So, where is this happening? Visakhapatnam, commonly known as Vizag, is taking center stage. The government's vision is crystal clear here. Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has officially dubbed the city AI Patnam. By giving it this new name, the government is firmly anchoring this massive industrial and digital transformation, sending a clear signal to the world that Vizag is the new, trusted hub for global AI innovation. And this isn't just some vague, futuristic concept. The timeline is aggressive, and it's fully mapped out. The roadmap kicks off with an official groundbreaking in September 2025. From there, construction is going to move at absolute breakneck speed, leading straight to a highly anticipated inauguration by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The date? Strictly scheduled for September 28, 2028. If you are a C-suite leader planning out your long-term growth and hardware deployment strategies, this is your critical window. Let's just break down the sheer scale of this specific Google Cloud AI hub in Vizag, because it is wild. We are looking at a 1 gigawatt capacity facility. To put that into perspective, India's entire current national data center capacity is roughly 1.3 to 1.5 gigawatts. This one single project is going to nearly double it. It's going to sprawl across nearly 600 acres spanning the Tarlovada, Adavivaram, and Rambili villages. But it's not just a huge land grab, it's about ultra-fast global connectivity. Through the America-India Connect initiative, Vizag will serve as the landing gateway for 3 major international subsea cables, linking directly to the US, Europe, the Middle East, Australia, and Africa. Plus, it's a huge collaborative effort, leaning on partnerships with Adani Connects and Airtel Extra to actually make it happen. Oh, and by the way, Reliance is also reportedly planning a nearby 1.5 gigawatt facility backed by $17 billion. So yeah, we are talking about an absolute mega cluster.
Section 2. Power Policy and Environment. Ground-level impact.
Now, during the initial announcements, Minister Vaishnav didn't just hand over the keys and walk away. He laid out 3 incredibly strict directives for Google and any tech giant building here. Step 1. Manufacture servers locally in India. This effectively slashes India's reliance on imported hardware and builds up new manufacturing ecosystems. Step 2. Drastically improve power efficiency. And Step 3. Significantly reduce water consumption. You see, massive data centers generate insane amounts of heat. Traditionally, cooling them requires evaporating millions of gallons of water right alongside massive electrical air conditioning units. Vaishnav's strict policy goals dictate that these new facilities have to engineer highly sustainable closed-loop cooling solutions so they don't drain the local water tables. And the corporate partners are actively stepping up to tackle these massive engineering hurdles. In response to that colossal power draw, Airtel's Nextra has publicly committed to providing nearly 400 megawatts of purely renewable energy to support this Vizag data center. Integrating that much green capacity into local grids requires highly complex engineering phases. You have to perfectly balance solar and wind inputs with massive localized battery storage to guarantee those servers never ever experience even a microsecond of downtime. It's all about balancing explosive data growth with long-term sustainable resource management.
What's really cool is how Google is deeply integrating with the local rural villages to stimulate direct economic and environmental benefits. They are pouring investments into the Sponge Collaborative, focusing heavily on local watershed management to actively protect the ecosystem. But it goes beyond just the environment. Google is empowering the specific demographic of Vizag, local fishing families. They're handing out highly advanced community weather tools and specialized GPS equipment to directly safeguard maritime livelihoods. It's such a fascinating example of how global cloud computing can positively impact ground-level rural economies.
Section 3. Legacy IT meets AI, the corporate shift.
Okay, let's zoom back out to the corporate landscape because we are seeing an aggressive structural shift. The old tech model was all about large team outsourcing, basically throwing thousands of human hours at a problem. But the new tech paradigm, it demands highly efficient AI-driven solutions. And here's the catch. AI doesn't need an army of entry-level coders, it needs massive, localized computing power. This completely flips the script on long-term capital efficiency. Legacy IT was capital light but labor-heavy. AI native infrastructure requires intense upfront capital expenditures, like those massive builds in Vizag, but it offers explosive, highly scalable returns on investment once the hardware is up and running.
If you want hard proof of exactly how fast this corporate shift is happening, just look at NVIDIA. They recently signed a record-breaking 12 billion rupee 10-year lease for a jaw-dropping 760,000 square feet of office space in Bengaluru. That is literally the largest single-tenant office commitment in India's history. It is absolute proof that the demand for AI hardware and the specialized talent required to actually program it is accelerating at a rate that's honestly hard to comprehend.
For the institutional investors out there wondering about the long-term capital returns, check out these numbers. Over a remarkably short period, the average AI contract size in India has skyrocketed from a mere $39,000 to an incredible $530,000. Enterprise adoption is shifting from experimental to an absolute mandate. Take IBM, for example. They are targeting Indian manufacturers with their Client Zero strategy, essentially showing off their own internal AI-led overhaul that generated a massive $4.5 billion in productivity gains. The takeaway is clear. Adopt these models, and your business strategy shifts from slow, incremental growth to massive productivity leaps.
Section 4. The startup application boom. Micro opportunities.
This brings us to the massive window of opportunity for early-stage founders. The Indian AI market is officially projected to hit somewhere between $20 and $22 billion by 2027. That is a gigantic pool of capital just waiting for developers who can solve real-world problems.
Right now, Indian entrepreneurs are zeroing in on a very specific, smart strategy. A massive 75% of Indian AI startups are focused squarely on the application layer. So what does that mean? It means they aren't trying to spend billions building physical data centers or training base-level language models. Instead, they're utilizing this brand new, localized cloud connectivity coming out of Vizag to build practical software use cases right on top of it. Because the servers are local, latency drops to near zero, and data sovereignty is completely secured.
This setup empowers local Indian software developers to carve out highly unique niches, whether that's AI for Indian agriculture, localized healthcare logistics, or regional financial modeling, and it allows them to compete on a truly global scale.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on, whether you're an institutional investor, a C-suite leader, or an early-stage application developer. With $130 billion pouring into mega clusters like Vizag, unlocking unprecedented local compute power, how will your business actually scale using India's new native AI infrastructure? The foundation is quite literally being poured right now, and the companies that build on top of it first are going to define the next decade of the global digital economy. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into AI Platinum.